business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the pod.
Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. Every episode is an invitation, a reminder that business and life isn't just about profit. It's about purpose. It's about showing up with a servant's heart in every deal, every decision, every day to make a powerful impact on others. My guest he's gonna light you guys up like crazy. I've met him before, but the background is unbelievable. We won't be able to get into all his background, but you're gonna be motivated, you're gonna be challenged. And I think more importantly, you're gonna walk away with tools that inspire action both in your life and the life of others. So before we dive in, here's your homework today. How are you going to serve yourself and others today? Can't serve yourself, you can't serve others. You can't love yourself, you can't love others. It just works together. And guess what? It doesn't have to be a big impact. Even a small act of kindness or courage could change the game for anybody. So lean in, take notes. Let's discover how servant leadership and business can create ripple effects that last far beyond that bottom line. And a big thanks and shout out to my sponsor, Epic Impact, the storytelling system that helps you your message, connect, and convert. It's just 4 steps: engage, persuade, inspire, and close with clarity. I use it every day and it's fantastic. Try it free at epicimpact.ai with code STEVE to change your message, change your results. Quick shout out, we hit top 20 in small business marketing. We've got over 800 shows. And like my guest today, you're impacting the world. Let's continue doing that with sharing this out with people and sharing these incredible guests. So let's jump right in because I'm excited to have this gentleman on. Nathan, welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thanks, Steve. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I think we first got connected about a year ago, I think. So you've been a busy boy.
Yeah, 800 shows. It's been busy and crazy. But speaking about a busy boy, I've got to shout out an audience. I always ask my guests before the show, what's their superpower? And he said being a dad. And I'm not a dad, but what we talked about was so cool because talk about that, how it flows into your business.
I mean, it's true. Like everything I do it so that I'm the best dad and providing for my family. So yeah, and they come first. I've got wet hair. I'm sorry. I took the kids to the beach after school. It's in the evening here. I'm in Lisbon in Portugal. And yeah, and they wanted to go to the beach. So I thought I've got some time. Let's do it. Okay. So I blitzed down to the beach. They were all in the sea. So but yeah, it's been a race to get back for your show. But no, like the way that motivators is a big part of what I teach and what I talk about. But I need to practice what I preach. What are my motivators and my big motivators and my kids and my family? So yeah, if I can mold my life to be a better dad and a better human, then that will just ripple across everything I do. So yeah, I can't turn up to be a good dad if I'm not fit, if I'm not physically fit, I'm not mentally fit, I'm not healthy. So yeah, I have to do all that. And what you were talking about before about looking after yourself, yes, it's being selfless in everything you do. It's a real human trait to be selfless and look after others. But you've also got to be selfish in those times as well. And if you don't look after yourself and you let yourself go and you're not performing at your best, then what good are you to everyone else? So yeah, you've got to look after number one, and then that will have this knock-on effect with those people that you're trying to serve.
Yeah. Hey, family first, Nathan. So I'm glad you took those kids out. Podcast is important, but we could delay a podcast. Kid, family first, and
yeah,
I love that
you might hear a few squawks in the background. Yeah, so
that's okay. Squawk away, guys and girls. Have fun. They're having fun. That's important. Your background, as I told you, and audience, we're not going to get through all his background, but Peak State. Let's talk about that. I want to dive what you've learned from your background to develop Peak State.
Yeah, look, it's all Peak State is a an organization, a company that looks after the good management of good mental health. So putting mental health through a positive lens, because when the phrase mental health comes up, people automatically think as a negative connotation. So the 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 conversation on mental health has come a huge way in the last decade, 2 decades, and really we're just trying to move that on even further. So that you are looking after your mind like a muscle in that sense that everyone goes to the gym and looks after their physical fitness, but not necessarily their mental fitness. So it's looking about it in that way, and it's developed over the years. It was set up in 2020, so 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago, and it's come a long way since then. But really, it was born out of it's a basis of sports psychology and military psychology. My background is professional sportsman, and then in the military for 18 years. So I did 18 years in the Royal Air Force over in the UK, as a pilot, and yeah, it was through the things I learned in my trials and tribulations in my journey of life. So yeah, look, it's a passion project, something that I'm very passionate about, and still and will remain always passionate to that. And it's to make the world a happier, healthier, higher performing place.
Much needed nowadays. COVID's,
It really,
hopefully we're past COVID. Right, mental health's
yeah,
massive here in America. I'm sure every country has got their issues with things
everywhere.
happening. Yeah, and it's so needed. What I loved
Yeah,
about your background when I first met you was I love sports and business bridge and mental health.
yeah,
And you said it earlier. And you said something that was very cool because I ran health clubs with my family. We can all
yeah,
go to the gym and lift weights, but is there a mental gym? And that's kind of what
yeah,
peak state is, isn't it? Because I know I can pick a weight up and do bicep curls. Anybody could do that. They've seen people do it. But how do I do that bicep mental exercise?
yeah.
I don't know how to do it.
No, and that's it. And a lot of the stuff that you can do it's fairly subliminal. It's the doing the basics, and then in reality it's finding what you like, finding something that resonates with you, because everyone is different. Yeah, fine. If you go to a gym and you want to get big biceps, I mean, Steve, you got some pretty big biceps. So you go there and you've got an exercise, you do the exercise and you're going to get bigger biceps. But and there's no real way around that when it with actual your actual musculoskeletal system, but with your mind, everyone is different. Everyone has different likes and dislikes, different motivators, like I said before. And it's not something you're not going to get the benefit by doing something once. It's the sort of thing that when people say, "Oh, do you do yoga?" and they go, "Oh, yeah, 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 I do yoga," and you've done it once. You don't do yoga. You've given it a go, but because you've given it a go, that's one step on the journey, but you've clearly not liked it that much that you've then tried to make it a daily occurrence and make it a habit. And it's about making healthy habits. You've read the books of Atomic Habits and Healthy Habits and making this stuff. But unless something is habitual and you like doing it and do it over and over again, then you're not going to get those benefits. So, and the key to it is not overcomplicating it. Make it simple, make it something that people enjoy, something that people like, and then you're more likely to do it. And then you just get used to that thing,
Yeah.
and again, it's muscle memory.
Yeah.
That your brain's the most important muscle in your body. And like any athlete will say that it doesn't matter how fit they are, if your mind's not in tune and you're in the right mindset, then it's no good at all. You know, you could be Roger Federer playing tennis, you could be Usain Bolt running, you could be whoever, whichever, Lionel Messi taking a penalty. If your mind's not there, then you're already fighting a losing battle. So
Yeah, yeah.
so
It's no, I'm just gonna say real quick. I'm just thinking is that I can have a weak bicep. It's not good, but it's not life threatening.
no,
Your brain, your mental health, and we won't get suicide and all the things, depression and change of life and homelessness. That's I'd rather have a weak bicep than have to deal with all that. Not that I would.
yeah.
That's a good point, Nathan. I didn't think about how powerful your brain could be or not be.
Yeah, and that's hit the nail on the head with how powerful it is, and because it's the most powerful thing in you, because it's you that is listening to your inner voices all the time. It's you listening to the trials and tribulations of life. It's that roller coaster. Everyone is on that roller coaster. You talk about the ebbs and flows of life, and you can be high as a kite one day and then everything go to pot the next. And it doesn't matter who you are. Yeah, you could be a world record holder, you could be a movie star, you could be on stage selling out Madison Square Gardens, whatever. If you don't know what's next, whether it's bereavement, whether it's an accident, whether it's illness, could be anything. But, unless you're training your mind, unless you are constantly making it an active thing that you're looking after your mental health, then when these bad things happen, because they will, then you don't know how to cope. And it's having these tools, these things that you can then rely on. That's what's going to get you out of these slumps. Because yeah, it's people talk about resilience. It's oh, can you do people always ask me, oh, can you do a talk on resilience? We want to learn resilience. And you go, well, resilience isn't something that I can just give you. Resilience is essentially changing yourself from a rock into a ball, because it's giving you the ability to bounce back from something rather than just breaking on a wall when it's thrown. Resilience is learnt over time. Resilience is something that you have to go through struggles. You have to go through hardships. You've got to, it's that whole taking the rough with the smooth. And it's so important to, people say, look, don't be afraid of failure. It's the failures that make you who you are. You've got to, you miss every shot you don't take. I'll give you a load of analogies, but it's so true. That's what builds resilience. So yeah, fine, I can give you a talk on resilience, but I can't give you the magical pill for becoming resilient. That's you. That's on you, unfortunately. You've got to go on that journey and take a few punches, and then you will become more resilient.
You said the magical pill. We say magic. Too many people nowadays are looking for that. What's Nathan?
Yeah.
What's Steve? What's the easy? That doesn't help you. It's a
No.
band-aid for a wound that's going to open up again down the road somewhere. I love that. I want to
Yeah.
dive into your background, and I'm going to ask you about the royal family down the road here in a little bit. But playing professional rugby, like I said before, sports is such a life lesson. What did you learn to
Yep.
help develop peak state when you're playing professional rugby?
Well, I mean, it's a long time ago now. I
Yeah.
look back with fond memories, but um, my life was sport. It was every. My dad was a PE teacher, so sports teacher at school. He taught over in Colorado, um,
Wow.
and so from a very young age, sport was everything that I did. I was very lucky that I could take part in all different sports, and yeah, I became an international in multiple sports because I couldn't really choose the one that I was, I suppose, best at. I became a rugby player, um, and played professionally, and that in itself was, eh, look, something that I'd built towards, trained for years at, I'm incredibly proud that I managed to do it. And at the same time, I was doing a sports science degree at a university called Loughborough in the UK, which is a big sports university. So learning about all of the other aspects of sport, of being a professional, of the you know different aspects of training, from strength and conditioning to nutrition to sports psychology. Um, so yeah, I suppose a background in sport really was my background, my upbringing, and my passion. So yeah, I've been able to bring that certainly into the business world now with doing mental performance coaching for athletes now, and it's certainly it gives me more credibility when I'm speaking to athletes now that I've already done it. I've been there and um like I say before, I was there. I knew how to fail. I knew how to lose. You don't like it, but I know I've experienced this stuff. And the same as when I was in the military, it was it was the failures that then made you stronger off the back of it.
I appreciate you taking your stories, and your clients are learning from what you learned. So your curve was like this, all these failures. Well, if you could take Steve and cut those failures in half, life changing for me, because you
Yeah.
can, tell me, hey, here's how I handled it and did it. And it's powerful. What are some simple, you kept saying simple, which I love. I know people are leaning in going, okay, you're talking my language. What are some simple tools or resources that people can do for their mental health?
Um, well, I mean, look, the mindset stuff is, like I say, it's your stuff that you should already know and already do, but the bedrock of doing some mindset training, and then you can sort of build that up to kind of professional athlete biohacking level, um, is a lot about more conscious thought, about positive thinking, about um, being being more mindful with things. And look, you can look at it in one way where um, spirituality and the more um, religious side for being mindful, like meditation. These are things that I would say I really resonate with meditation, with breath work, with mindset, with goal setting. But not everyone gets on with them. I could go into a room and say, look, I'm going to teach you all, and that magic thing that's going to make you all more mentally fit, is meditation, and you'll lose half the room straight away because not everyone likes it. It's too intrusive in your own thoughts. They think they're not good at it, so they'll give up. But so meditation is one thing. I like it and I do it and I get a huge amount of benefit from it. Being more mindful with how you are, taking note of your surroundings, of how you're feeling, your senses, and just being more present is vital. The being present is a really interesting one where you, your mind can time travel all over the place, and you'll know this yourself because your mind wanders. Your mind time travels, but your body can't. So you're always thinking about the past. and you're always thinking about the future. But it's fine to dwell over things, but if that consumes you, then all you're doing is thinking about your failures, or dwelling on the positives all the time. Or you're constantly thinking about the future. What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Thinking too far ahead, rather than actually grounding yourself and making you concentrate about the task at hand, and in that moment enjoying what's going on. I'll go back to your first comment to me about being a good dad. Do you think that turning up and being a good dad is holding on to when your kids have been a pain in the butt, or constantly thinking, I hope that all my kids are sports stars, and have I got them in the right school? Have they done this? Have I done right for them? No, you've got to turn up and be present every day and be a present dad, because that's the thing that is going to make you um there for them. And then they will feed off you, and you will actually listen to conversations and take in what they're talking about, and be there and not be on your phone the whole time when they're playing. Look, we can go for hours and talk
Yeah,
about all of this stuff, but for me, yeah, look, being present with where you are is so key. But
well, that's a simple tool. You're right. No, not a lot of people are doing, because they're, I could be on this podcast and thinking about what am I going to have for lunch, and not even hearing the thing you're saying, not being present for
yeah.
you as a
And
host.
look, there's different ways of doing it. That you'll see. Look, you see basketball players, NBA players, when they're going for a free throw, or you'll watch a soccer player about to take a penalty kick, or a golfer about to take a swing, and you'll notice them that they'll have a routine. A lot of them is breath work. It might be a what looks like a superstition. It might be a certain walk up approach. It might be, do this with your nose. It might be do this with your hair. It could be anything. But that's what that's doing is, whether they do a quick out breath, it's just grounding themselves and being in that present moment. What's gone before, they can't change now. They might have missed the last free throw. They can't change that. They can't, you can't influence what's going on after the game or right at the end of the game. You need to influence what's happening now. So they do a little tool that they know works for them, and then suddenly, right, they're in the moment and they can perform. So, and like I said, you figure these things out. I can give you loads of tools to do, but it's finding out what works for Steve.
Yeah. And Nathan, you're brilliant, because saw some interviews from baseball players here and American quarterbacks. Aaron Rodgers would reach out, pick a piece of grass before he starts every drive. Exactly what he's doing. I'm thinking he's slowing his body, but it's slowing his breath down. You're
Yeah,
brilliant.
and it's
And
touch.
yeah, and his
It's
touch.
touch as well.
Yes.
So he's getting that. It's knowing the
Yes.
texture. Oh, right. Okay, grass is, this is quite this is like quite sorry, this grass, or it's soft, or it's quite moist, this is wet. And you're getting the senses. Do you know what that's doing? It's taking away all of those external cues, the roars from the crowd, whether it's cheers or boos. It's taking away all of the, where you are in the game, and you're thinking, oh, I'm 15 points down, whatever, and I'm now worried, I'm tensed, so I can't actually kick. It's all of this stuff. So you're just tricking your brain. It's like when you want to go to sleep, and people go, oh, go and count sheep. Do you know what that is? Why it works? Because if you're there lying in bed counting sheep, hopping over a fence, you're not thinking about the thing that you did wrong that day. You're not thinking about your financial issues. You're not thinking about that meeting that you've got first thing the next day. All of that stuff that your brain is just fizzing around with, that's gone. You're just thinking about counting sheep, jumping over a thing, or box breathing, or whatever. Look, there's tons of
Yeah.
stuff that you can do. But yeah, the mind is an incredibly complex but very simple thing. And it's only you that can master that thing, because it's in here.
You can't tell me what to do. I can't tell you what to do. That's brilliant.
Yeah,
And what's
people are stubborn.
powerful. Yeah. So I could take this into business. So let's use a scenario. We're coming to the end here, but I got to talk about this. I'm going to a big meeting. I'm going to sign $1 billion. I told you, $1 billion contract. Well,
Amazing.
instead of thinking about what am I going to say wrong, what am I wearing, what do I need to smile, all that stuff, I start thinking about counting sheep. Let's just use that. Walking in, okay, one sheep, two sheep. I sit down and I just jump right into the meeting without these outside noise affecting my brain. That's what you're saying?
Yeah.
I'm all in. Nathan,
Yeah,
count
yeah,
me
yeah,
in.
yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, it is simple. It's just this head can be complex. So before we end here, I got to ask you two fun questions. One,
Yeah.
what was it like flying the royal family? I read this morning. I'm imaging this. What was it like?
I mean, it was an incredible privilege to be able to do that. It really was. Stressful at times, but took me to some lovely places around the world, and yeah, it was from a career of flying into um war zones and not so nice places to then be flying around in my number one nice uniform and saluting the king and queen when they're walking down the steps. It was definitely a new experience, and really one that I will savor forever. You're exposed to a lot of stuff that you wouldn't necessarily be exposed to in if you're in the general public. Um, but very stressful. You've got pretty important cargo. So when you're flying into Delhi in complete whiteout fog, and they're saying we have to go because the TV cameras are on the ground rolling now. We're going straight into a delegation. The red carpet's already rolled out, and you're there on the clock. You've got to hit it on the second for when the band starts playing. You're thinking, this is focusing the mind to get us in. So, it's just different, different stresses, but no, it was an amazing privilege to be able to do it.
So you wouldn't if you didn't have that cargo, the royal family. Say you were flying me and my family, you would have pulled out and not landed because it was so bad. You had to make it happen, even though you probably wouldn't land because of the
Well, look, I mean, you've got limits, and
yeah,
the you're constrained by weather limits, aircraft limits, but certainly let's just say there were heightened pressures to land when
gotcha.
there's stuff going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a yeah, there's definitely a higher priority. You are under a higher priority when you're flying the royal family anyway. You have a different call sign, and you fly, and people get out of your way. So
Yeah.
so yeah, it's you're definitely um one of, if not the most important thing in the sky at that time.
I tell you,
But
box breathing would be a. I'm sure you were box breathing. I don't know if you
I
were or
did.
weren't.
No,
Yeah.
I
See,
did,
I figured
and
you did. Yeah.
no, it was interesting when I was learning to formation fly, going through flying training, and you flying in formation with other aircraft. I remember being really tense when I was flying, because you're so fixated on the other aircraft and the visual references of when you're flying. I remember a flying instructor that I had, really experienced guy, and I said to him, "Look, I feel really tense, and I never feel this tense in sport, but in flying, when you're really close to the other aircraft, I'm feeling really tense." And he said, "Look, I was told this in my flying training, and I've never forgotten it, and I'll tell you now." He said, "Whenever you're feeling tense in that moment, just wiggle your toes." So you're flying along, and then you just wiggle your toes, and again, it's like it's tricking your brain. You're not thinking about something else, but what you're doing is you are just tricking your brain into relaxing, into just, right, okay, I'm grounding myself in that quite stressful situation. And when you're learning a new skill in anything, it's hard. It puts you out of your comfort zone. So so yeah, it's funny that I was told that in the whatever 20 odd years ago of flying training, and I still remember it now and still use tricks like that today.
Well, audience, there's a tip for you: tools, wiggle something, your fingers, whatever. Yeah, it takes your focus away. Oh my God, I'm getting close to that plane instead of, because once you move something, I guess your mind goes to that because your mind's got to make it move, right? Your toes, your fingers, or whatever. So your
Oh,
focus
completely.
goes right to, yeah, that's that. I mean, we go on. We're going to bring you back for part two. This is way too cool. I'm like a 25-year-old on a, I don't know why I'm saying on a first day. I'm learning so much that's helping
Yeah.
me and audience helping you. Um, Real
I
quick
used I
question.
used that the other week. I was in Monza at
Yeah.
at the racetrack, and one of my drivers is in Formula 3. He just got pole, doing really well, and Brad was there, nervous, you could tell. And I said, "Look, sit there on pole and wiggle your toes." He's like, "What do you mean wiggle your toes?" It's like, just sit there. You're on the pedals. Just don't think of anything and wiggle your toes. And you could see his shoulders just go like this.
Oh my God, what a great
Yeah,
story.
yeah,
Holy moly.
yeah.
That's, you're awesome, man. And
Passing
speaking
it
of
on,
awesome,
passing
yeah,
advice on.
that's servant heart. You're ending with
There
servant
you
heart.
go.
So I've got a reservation at a restaurant. We're going to play a little game here. And there's a table of four. So one, of
All right.
course, you're going to sit in one of the chairs. You can bring your wife too
Yeah.
and the kids. But the three empty chairs, dead or alive, who would you bring to the table to converse with, get, ask questions that you've always wanted to talk to, somebody you've looked up to, and more importantly, what food would you order for the table? Because it's your table.
It's my table. That's good. So one person is my grandfather, who I never got to meet. So he was a navigator on Lancaster bombers in World War II. He's the only person in my family that's ever been in the Air Force other than me. And I've just sort of lived vicariously because he died when he was, I mean, had a heart attack when he was 55, so before I was born. And I've just looked at um the photos he took from the Battle of Britain, from D-Day, from all of these world-renowned events that I've just, yeah, kind of lived vicariously through, being doing a career in the Air Force and never getting to chat to him. So he's definitely at the table with me. um I would say, oh, who would I want to speak to? Um, Neil Armstrong. He'd be a good person to chat to. Ask him if it really happened. Um, I'm a believer. I
Good
think it's
point.
happened,
I think too,
obviously.
but I know it's all over.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
And other than you, Steve,
Appreciate that.
is it third and final one
Third,
now?
third and final one.
Um, okay, let's go for Um, I've got a business card that is a picture of my granddad shaking hands with Winston Churchill. That he handed his camera. He was a real photographer. Handed his camera to his mate and said, "Can you take a picture?" Apparently, and there's a picture of him shaking Winston Churchill's hand. So my third and final one is Winston Churchill, because it'd be good to get them back together.
What's your grandfather's name? What was his name?
Tom,
Tom,
Tom
you're
Roberts,
brilliant.
Thomas.
I can't believe, Tom, you think about that. Grab the camera. I mean, nowadays it's so much easier, but we're talking the 50s, 60s, well, 50s, right?
Well, no, it was 19. Yeah, these
No.
these ones that was probably taken in 1942.
And there weren't
It's all
cameras
black and
like
white.
sitting around. Yeah. Oh, what a great picture. Oh, my. You
Yeah.
still have it?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
So you don't
I
have to
don't
show.
know. I need to find
Yeah,
my
you don't
business
have to
card.
show
I'll
off.
I'll send you the photo. There's some great
Yeah,
ones.
please do. Oh, my God. That's a
Yeah.
blessing. Well, Peak State has piqued a lot of people's interest. How about that? That
I
was
hope
pretty
so.
good. My audience, I'm sure, wants to reach out to you. How can they reach out, learn more about Peak State, and learn more about you?
Well, I mean, the website's peakstate.org, but yeah, you can email me at info@peakstate.org, or yeah, follow my journeys, I suppose, on Instagram, Nathan Rainbow Jones on there, and or Peak State on there, and you can yeah, follow the adventures because there's lots going on.
Beautiful. Thank you again for being a servant's heart. You're really out there helping people. It's so wonderful.
Save
An
your style.
audience.
Thanks.
Here's what I want you to do at the end here. So here's your homework. Subscribe to the YouTube channel because I think podcasts are gifts. So when you subscribe, I've got about 10 podcasts I get. When I get one like this and I hear it, share it with somebody. Maybe it's going to uplift them and impact them. They listen to Nathan because I'm going to listen to this again. It's so good. He's so good. But that's what podcasts are. They're truly a gift of life or business. And it doesn't have to be my podcast. If it's another podcast you listen to, subscribe to it and get those links. If it doesn't resonate, move on. But when you're talking to somebody, you go, hey, I've just listened to Nathan Jones. He's inspiring about just wiggling my toes and walking into a meeting. It could be life-changing. It could be $1 million contract somebody signs because of that. So share these out. We'd really appreciate that. Any podcaster would appreciate that. And with that being said, me and Nathan want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you all in the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.